E minor 7 to D major, and I'll play that with a click. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, let's take a look at what we're doing here. In the left hand, over the E minor 7 chord, we're just going to be going back and forth between an E and a B, like that. And then for the D major chord, we drop it down 2 frets, and we'll be going back and forth between a D and an A, like that. Now to make up the E minor 7 chord in the right hand, we'll do a double stop of D and G, like that. And then for the D major chord, we'll do a double stop of D and A, like that. So let's play this again. I'm going to throw in some rhythmic variations. 1, 2, 3, 4. In our next example, we're going to take the same 2 chords, E minor 7 to D major, and we're going to mix up the sequence of the left and right hands, so it should sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, let's take a look at what we're doing here. One thing's going to be different. The examples we've done up to this point, we've pretty much started all the activity out in the left hand. Now we're going to start this off with the activity in the right hand with some double stop hammer-ons. Now the double stop hammer-on over E minor 7 is going to be G and D, like that. And then over the D major, we're going to do a double stop hammer-on of A and D, like that. Now in the left hand, over the E minor 7, we're just going to go back and forth between an E and a B, like that. Then over the D major, you just drop that down a couple frets, and you're going to go back and forth between a D and an A, like that. So let's do this slow with a click. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, now I'm going to do this again up the tempo with the click, and I'm going to throw in some fills and some runs in my left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we'll use these same techniques and move to a different key center. This time we'll go from F7 sus to E flat 7 sus, and we'll play that a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, let's take a look at what we have here. First in the left hand, I'm just holding down an F7 chord like this. Now in the right hand, I've got a double stop hammer-on of B flat and E flat, like that. And then you do a double stop pull-off like this. And then you pluck down with your thumb. And then you do another double stop hammer-on of the B flat and E flat like this. And that's basically the whole motion. And then you just drop the whole thing down to E flat. Now as you can notice, my ring finger here is anchored along the bottom of the neck like we talked about before, and it just kind of slides along like that. So let's try this again with the drum machine, and I'm going to throw in some variations. I'd like to close this section out by showing you how you can combine all these techniques into a soloing situation, and hopefully give you a feel for how you can use these techniques in a more spontaneous way. 1, 2, 3, 4. In this next section, I'd like to talk about playing slapping and tapping together like this. We're going to start this section off by doing a number of examples in the key of E. Now, a lot of bass players like to slap in the key of E because you've got this nice big fat open E string to pivot off of. Now, the intimate details of slapping have already been covered in the slap bass program video. So what we're going to be dealing with here specifically is playing slapping and tapping together to create some really unique bass parts. Let's start by looking at a simple slapping and tapping exercise. All right, let's look at what we have here. Our first move is a slap of the open E string, and then we have a hammer-on on fret 7, your E, and then we have another hammer-on of A, like that, and then we go back to our hammer-on of an E on the 7th fret. And the only thing you change about that in the second half is instead of hammering down this A, you hammer down a D. So the whole thing would sound like this. Now there's only one other thing I'm doing here. I'm doing some damping in my left hand, and how I'm doing that is at the same time I'm hammering down this E, I'm gently touching the open E string to dampen it. So here's the open E string without dampening, and now I'm going to gently touch it to dampen it, and you'll hear the difference. So let's play it again with the click. Now let's add some double stops into the picture, and this is what it should sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's look at what we have here. Our first move, again, is an open E string, it's thumb slap, like that. And then we have a hammer-on the 7th fret of an E, like that, and then we have a double stop hammer-on of A and D, like that, and then we go back to our E hammer-on the 7th fret, and that's it. The only thing you change in the second half, you change the double stop hammer-on from A and D to G sharp and D, like that. And again, I'm doing the same kind of damping in my left hand. So let's play this again with a click. Now in this next example, we'll just double up on the thumb and add a pluck like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's take a look at that. Our first move we have is 2 successive thumb slaps on open E. I'm going to call that one move, like that. And then we have a pluck of a D on the 7th fret, and I'm plucking with my middle finger on my right hand, And then we've got a thumb slap of a D on the 5th fret, like that. And then we've got a hammer of an E. And then we've got a double stop hammer on of A and D, like that. And then hammers of D and E on the 5th and 7th fret. Now the only thing you change in the second half, again, you just change the double stop hammer on from A and D to G sharp and D. Now I'm also doing some damping with my right hand in this example. And I'm doing the damping right here in the back of my right hand. So first I'm going to let the open E string ring out like that, and then I'm going to dampen it like this. So let's try this real slow with a click. Now let's try that up to tempo with a click. Now let's combine all the techniques from the 3 previous examples. And this will be a little bit faster tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, let's take a look at what we have here. We're going to break this down into 2 sections. Now our first move in the first section is a double stop hammer-on of A and D, like that, and then we have hammer-ons of D and E on the 5th and 7th fret, and then we've got a muted thumb slap, like that, no particular note, and then we've got a pluck of a D on the 7th fret, then we've got a thumb slap on open E, and then hammer-ons of A and B on the 5th and 7th fret. So that whole section sounds like this. Now in the second section, our first move is a double stop hammer-on of A and D, like that. Then we have hammer-ons of D and E on the 5th and 7th fret. Then we have another double stop hammer-on of B and E. And then we go back to our double stop hammer-on of A and D. And then our last move is hammer-ons of D and E on the 5th and 7th fret. So that section sounds like this. Now the only thing you change in the second half of this example is instead of doing this, you'll do this. You just change the double stops up a little bit. You'll do a double stop of G sharp and D. So let's play this whole thing very slowly with a click. All right, let's do that up to tempo with the click.